Did Chris Jones quit last night? A lot of fans think so, but we think the Chiefs have even bigger problems.
The Chiefs fall to 2-3 after a loss in Jacksonville last night. We asked you guys what your questions, concerns, and comments were after it, and here's what you had to say. Let's talk about it. We'll start this thing off with Hachi. He says Chris Jones just watched. He just effing watched. Lawrence was on the ground and put his hand on his hips. I get he was gassed, but winners find that reserve tank. If he doesn't acknowledge that, he is not the man I thought he was.
Hachi, you and a lot of people had that exact same comment to a certain degree. I watched the play over and over again, and it was hard to sit there and watch Chris Jones basically just buy a ticket and sit on the 1 yard line and watch Trevor Lawrence get in for the dub. It was disheartening a little bit, but I will say this. Chris Jones has had a rough couple weeks. Chris Jones has had a bad season so far in terms of statistics. The Chiefs haven't got him any help whatsoever on the defensive line. There is no pass rush to help him. He is still being doubled and tripled teamed. It's hurting his stats, but he can't stand there and look like that and watch at the end of the game. It's bad optics for a guy that gets paid as much as he is and for a guy that's a pillar of this team. Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, and Big Red Andy Reid. You can't have Chris Jones standing there and not putting in that much effort at the end. However, I will say this. I don't think there was much he could have done there. The play was all away from him. I think that when he started to run, he seen that Trevor Lawrence should have got tackled and a couple guys just missed. I honestly don't think it's a big deal, but it's optics. At the end of the day, that's all it is. And I'm not going to be too hard on him. He's had a rough couple weeks with his family, his aunt passing, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a pass here, but it cannot be a problem going forward.
I agree. I think Chris Jones got caught with his pants down there, much like Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl, just not putting in the effort that needed to be there. Regardless if you can make the play or not, you at least try 110%, especially on a game-deciding play. That's just a bad look for him altogether. As far as the rest of the defensive line, they were non-existent last night, and I think you even saw that on that last play as well. Yeah, you might kind of look at Chris Jones because he's just standing there not doing much, but we haven't even brought up George Karlaftis was over there on the edge getting absolutely obliterated by a blocking running back. We also had other guys that didn't even make an attempt to get through that line. They were all playing gap coverage, playing for the run there, and I think that's what attributed to Trevor Lawrence having time to get up and get to where he needed to be. A lot of things went into that, but we can talk about a million plays before that last play as the reason why they lost the game, even more than that one.
And let's be completely honest. If Chris Jones would have got over there, hauled ass, made that tackle, stopped him short of the play, the refs had already threw the flag in the end zone anyway. The play really didn't matter. It was just going to be successful for the Jags one way or the other because the officials were going to have it that way or no other way. But moving on, at Nikki Ray says, how the hell do we fix this non-existent pass rush? Can we fix this crappy coaching?
Nikki, I think it's definitely fair to question the coaching so far. We've had a lot of issues with play calling, a lot of issues on defense that looked like they could have been corrected. Guys just not adjusting at halftime. So I think it's definitely fair to talk about that. However, I think we have to have a little bit of faith in these coaches. These guys have a great track record. They've won us Super Bowls. They do a good job 90% of the time. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and then we look further into it, and we just start pointing fingers. So let's just give the coaches just a rest on that one for now until we get further into the season. I think they're cooking up something here. You see the offense improving. The defense has actually been pretty decent this year, and you have to remember this roster overall is pretty young. So some pieces are coming together. We'll just see how it works out from here. As far as the pass rush, I don't know if it is fixable at this point. You have two guys that get most of the pressure with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. You see last night, they both kind of got blanked, and it was just non-existent. We have to do something about the other side. Of course, Omar Norman Lott was out last night with an injury. Ashton Gillotte is still getting his footing in the NFL, but you got Mike Dana and Charles Omenihu over there not contributing hardly at all. Omenihu did get a sack last night, but for the most part, he was blanked. Mike Dana, I didn't even know he played, honestly, if I didn't look at the snap count. So they have to do something about that side. Can they acquire somebody before the trade deadline to help with the pass rush on that side of the defensive line? I don't know. It's not likely that someone's going to give up someone that would be a needle mover for us, but we'll just have to wait and see. Brett Veach has done crazier things things and made better things happen. And this dude had some similar concerns. It says, couldn't understand why Spags didn't put a spy on Trevor. How many times does he have to run for a first down or touchdown before he gets spied to stay in the pocket?
Yeah, so when it comes to coaching, I thought Spags got out-coached last night. Liam Cohen and that offensive coordinator over in Jacksonville out-coached Spags in the second half. Spags was late to the party at putting a spy on Trevor Lawrence, and it happened over and over again. I don't even think we spied him until so late in the game that it almost didn't matter at that point. This happened all the way back in week 1 versus Justin Herbert, and Herbert beat us with his legs, who isn't known to beat you with his legs. So I think Spags dropped the ball a little bit. Another way, and I think Spags dropped the ball, was only letting Noel Williams play 4 snaps last night. That is out of control. You cannot have a guy that is that young and doing so well to this point and being physical, man-to-man, shutting down receivers and getting the guy 4 snaps after getting him a lot of snaps last week. That's a regression, and that was idiotic. I totally understand that. A lot of people want to look at other parts of coaching. Matt Nagy not calling good plays. Andy Reid. Those guys abandon the run game inside the red zone and cause Mahomes to read some kind of stupid linebacker, just a basic little linebacker crowd in the line of scrimmage, and they fall back and they get a pick 6 from 99 yards away because Mahomes just got in his head and thought he seen the right read. But that could have been completely avoided if Andy Reid commits to the run game just a little bit. And by the way, I thought our running backs played pretty well last night. A lot of people are saying they didn't. They absolutely played well enough to win. If you want to talk about a big-time coaching blunder, I think Dave Tobe gets the Medal of the Year award for that one because of the way he wanted Harrison Butker to flub that final kick. Didn't make any sense. They should have just booted it right down the middle or kicked it out of the back of the end zone, and that's all I'll say about the coaching.
Yeah, so I think it's very important when talking about Harrison Butker and that final kick there that you keep it in context. Yes, it was Dave Tobe's decision not to kick to the end zone. Could Harrison Butker have executed a little bit better? Absolutely. But that kind of stuff happens. That football's shaped funny, and it can bounce a lot of different ways. Also, if he had put it in the end zone and got a touchback, a lot of people wouldn't be mad or pointing the finger at Harrison Butker. However, it would have only made a 5-yard difference as to what actually played out. So I think a lot of people are overplaying the Harrison Butker thing. And Noel Williams getting 4 snaps on this defense was absolutely just malpractice by Steve Spagnuolo. The fact that he loves Chamari Connor to a fault. He played 100% of the snaps last night. And Noel Williams, who's our highest graded DB, got 4 snaps. Something's wrong there. He's really got to take a hard look at that and figure out what he wants to do with that secondary. I think the secondary overall played fairly well for the entire game, but those penalties at bad times were just inexcusable. Chamari Connor has got to turn his head around. And you also saw Jalen Watson getting burned a couple times last night, not getting his head around. These guys have got to just step it up a little bit. But overall, I think this defense is in a good place. They can improve from where they're at, and they haven't been that bad so far this season as a whole. Moving on, we have Austin Stinger says penalties on special teams and defense not getting stops on 3rd and long. Mahomes and the offense will be just fine, especially with Rashi coming back soon.
Yeah, we've talked about the defense now until nauseum, so we'll focus on the offensive side of the ball. Thought the offense played very well yesterday, to be honest. I thought the running game actually looked good. I touched on that a few questions ago. They were getting 6-7 yards per carry. But neither one of them had over 10 carries, and together they had 14 carries total, I believe. And then I think Brashard Smith got a carry out of the backfield. And he has to commit to the run game a little bit more. We've got to tighten it up in the red zone still. But I was very pleased with Tyquan Thornton and what he offered, 30 yards per catch. I thought Mahomes looked good at times. Again, in the red zone, he throws the pick. That was a bad coverage read there. He was way too confident in what the linebackers were doing. There were just small things here and there that they do need to correct, but I think the play calling's heading back towards the right direction. I don't think Xavier Worthy was 100% last night. It looked like the ankle bothered him more than they thought because he was taken completely out of the game plan, to be honest. Jalen Royals is not really getting integrated. He's basically coming in the backfield and running like decoy routes. That's all he's doing in the backfield. So I still think there's plenty of things to go forward. Juju wasn't as effective last night, but you did see Hollywood make a few good plays. I think Rashee Rice is going to really put this offense to the next gear. And look, if we can just go 500 until Rashee Rice comes back, there's no way in the world our offense isn't going up 2, 3, 4 notches, and the Chiefs aren't going to take the division. So I think everybody's got to chill out a little bit.
And speaking of Mahomes in the red zone, we have the white whale here. It says throw 99-yard pick sixes, lose games. I think that's pretty self-explanatory there. That 14-point swing cannot happen. That will lose you a lot of football games. Then we have Camera was on the whole time, huh? 2-4 sucks, but hopefully they pull through and make it to the playoffs. Just got to get the 7th seed.
Yeah, we're not 2-4 just yet. That is a possibility. We're actually just 2-3, but a lot of people are saying we don't have a chance versus the Lions. I think that at home, the Chiefs are going to play the Lions a little bit better than people think. We could get that win. And speaking of overreactions, this is the overreaction of the freaking century. On Facebook, Paul T. Backus says, "You may not like what I'm going to say here." Surprise, surprise, we're not. But I think Mahomes needs to retire. Steve, what do you think about that one?
Look, if it's Chiefs football season, the only thing we want is a season filled with touchdowns from number 15 and some good barbecue.
So we understand that you're like us. That's what you want too. And so we're here to support a local Kansas City staple in the barbecue capital of the world, which is Kansas City, baby. Zarda BBQ.
We absolutely love Zarda. They've been nothing but generous to us and generous to you, the all chiefed up crew. We keep their sauces on hand 365 days a year. I put this stuff on everything. And we here at ACU proudly support their mission in the community and their mouthwatering food.
Right now, our boy hailing from the University of Louisville, Ashton Gillotte, is teaming up with Zarda to bring you his very own signature sandwich called the Takeaway. It is absolutely a barbecue sandwich lover's dream. This one-of-a-kind taste sensation starts with a generous portion of Zarda's award-winning limited reserve burnt-ends, melted pepper jack cheese, juicy pulled pork, thin sliced ham, and Ashton's favorite Zarda barbecue sauce, all piled high on a toasted Roma bun. But it's not finished there. This sandwich has a surprise waiting for you. They're adding creole seasoning to kick it up a notch, and we're getting hungry just talking about it.
And speaking of community, Zarda is donating a portion of the proceeds from every Ashton Gillotte-inspired sandwich sold to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. So what a great cause, and a good way to show your support for Ashton, Zarda, ACU, and your community.
So don't worry about cooking and cleaning tonight. Make it a Zarda kind of night and go grab some barbecue from either of their 2 locations. The KC Takeaway is also available at all area Hy-Vee Market grill locations throughout the Chiefs season from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily.
And you will not regret it. Zarda is legendary. And be sure to let them know All Chiefed Up sent you their way. So Chiefs Kingdom, I love you guys, but we're a little spoiled at this point. I have to say, you start looking at what's happening after the Chiefs are just 2-3 this season. I've seen some outlandish things in comments from a lot of people that really act like they know a lot of football, but they've said they need to fire Andy Reid, Spags needs to be fired, Matt Nagy needs to be fired, Travis Kelce needs to retire, now Patrick Mahomes needs to retire, Chris Jones isn't good, we need to trade him, the running backs are terrible, they're all bad. I've seen a lot of weird, crazy stuff. Everybody's just got to tick it back a little bit because I think this team's trending in the right direction. Practice a little bit of patience. Although there may be small truths to every one of those concerns, I think we're overreacting just a little bit right now. Let's check out this tweet from Albert Breer. He says, "If you think the Chiefs aren't any good, you're going to look dumb. What I saw last night was an offense that's getting better and still hasn't played a single snap with its best and by a good margin skill position player, and has a rookie left tackle that's improving each week." And I think he makes a good point there. I think everyone can take a little bit away from that and just give a little bit of patience to a team that needs it right now. But I think they're trending in the right direction.
So take a chill pill. If you like this video, hit the sub button, hit the like button. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.